Yeah, my name is A.K. Pujari. I represent one of the nodal agency of the government for implementation of e-government solutions, training in the public sector. But now, when you talk about e-government solutions, we have to talk about many challenges that faces the government, because governance is very complex. It involves technology, it involves human factors, it involves politics, political factors, social factors, so many things. So e-governance is very, very complex. And when we talk about digital divide, we also must understand that there are many more other divides inside the government as well. Like you have divides between the regions, divides between the political and, let us say, the bureaucracy, between the bureaucracy and the technical people, and so on. From region to region it varies. So when you talk about governance, all solutions for the e-governance, you have to take all these factors into considerations. There are overload of information, because in governance there are various departments, and each department collects information. Maybe the same information is being collected by different people at different times for different purposes, but those information have to be integrated, and these information many times becomes inconsistent and incomplete, and the decision maker have to take decision based on this kind of incomplete and inconsistent information. So there has to be an integration of information, and the public, they depend on the government. In a large country like India, you'll find that till the 90s we had all these regulatory frameworks. We had, now India is opening up. We are making many government jobs, government activities are being transferred to the public, the private sector. But we had a lot of dependence in the government for the common citizen, and the common citizen faces a lot of problems in collecting information. A simple person has to collect a form. He has to go to the office many times. Maybe the person who is supposed to give him the form is not available, or even if he is available, the forms are not there. So this kind of problems were there. So when you talk about internet governance, it has to be compatible. Now we are talking about a knowledge-based society. We are talking about free economy. So these governance rules and regulations have to be made compatible to this new environment, and we have to adapt to changes. There has to be responsiveness to the requirements of the people, and the entire process has to be re-engineered, putting online transactions for the citizens, and the culture of entrepreneurship, because government was seen in a different framework altogether. Government was not seen as a business, but actually now government also realizes that unless you have an entrepreneurship framework, your government cannot be run. And of course, the expected benefits are already have been discussed by Mr. Parthasarathy in the morning, in the first talk in this session. Efficient administrations, open and accessible, cost minimization, responsive government, convenience to citizen services, accountability of officials, and public scrutiny. These are the various input to the governance. It comes from socio-economic surveys, natural resources, industry, finance, healthcare, education, rural development, agriculture, land records, and so on. So information keep coming from different sources, and these informations are being used, because if you have collected information from one source, that information is going to be used for very different purposes. So when they collect the information in a separate, by separate departments, they have to be made consistent, and they have to be made integrated. So what are the challenges? Now often we talk about the best practices that should be followed in the government. But what is a best practice? There cannot be a best practice in a complex situation like the governance. So we have to, like Andhra Pradesh has done a lot of solutions for e-governance. In the same country, we cannot just cut and paste and develop the solution in another state. It has to be, we have to develop our own best solution, because when you are talking about an environment, it is not a technology, it is a process. So that process cannot be reused. The technology can be reused. So you have to develop, whenever you take a technology, you have to adapt it to your own environment. So it is easy to adopt, but it is very difficult to adapt it. So we have to talk about adapting it. Regulations are incompatible with global economy. So when you connect computers, you are actually not connecting computers, but you are connecting to the cultural attitudes and expectations of the people. And what happens in the government is, normally the problems are taken in a very general framework. That is, if I have a regulation, it applies to all the departments, no matter what the requirements are, specific requirements are. In one department, maybe reducing the number of staff may be good, but another department, we need more people to work. But when there is a regulation for the government that we have to reduce the number of people working, government employees working in the government, it applies to all the departments. So we have to find specific solutions, not generalized solutions. Actually, we have to find specific problems, find specific solutions for specific context. Unless we do that, we will not be able to implement e-governance. So it's, as I said, it's not a product, it is a process. So, but again, the process, you should not sacrifice the purpose just because the process, because the process is determined by regulations. But the process is, the purpose is good. If you have to achieve something, you have to first see that the processes are accordingly changed, and a product has to be accordingly adapted. So innovation is the key to knowledge management systems to aid human activities, and as I already said, we have to adopt a business model, re-engineering of processes, and many times we talk about starting big. That is, e-governance or e-commerce has to be adopted in a much bigger framework. But that doesn't always happen. We have to start small. Start small, but you have to have big interest, a big enthusiasm to implement those things. And instead of starting from a top-down model, one has to start in e-governance at least, from a bottom-up model. That is, you take small applications, integrate them together, and then build up the entire e-government solutions. Only thing is, when you start, you must have the big picture in mind, because if you start in an ad hoc manner, the small applications, it becomes very difficult to integrate them. So you have to have the big picture, but start small applications, keeping in mind that they are going to be integrated, if not today, tomorrow. And it has to be we have to follow a participatory approach, and web technology is the solution ultimately, which is going to solve most of the problems, because that is the technology which takes e-governance to the common man. In India, we have more than 75% people who stay in the villages. It's one of the lowest levels of development and literacy in Asia. 20% of population can use English. So in many of the talks, the question of local language has been mentioned. And local language is very, very important if you are going to implement e-governance, because you cannot talk about e-governance without involving the common man, the poor people. Actually, most of the government programs, services, the target is the common man. And ironically, those people who are the target, they are mostly deprived of the government services, of the government programs, just because they do not know the language, English language. So when you talk about e-governance, it has to be citizen-centric. It has to be based on local language, including in addition to English. So, and of course, in